The $150,000 Melair Stakes is race number 8 on the 9-race card Saturday at Santa Anita. It's the 4th of 5 stakes races for California breds, and this race is named after the first big horse trained by John Sadler. Her name was Melair. She was a gray filly, and in 1986, she won all 5 career starts in less than 3 months, including a 132-4 mile against the boys in the silver screen, and she decimated the field. And that field included the 1986 champion 3-year-old Snow Chief. So Melair had a short, brief, brilliant career trained by John Sadler. John Sadler has never won the Melair Stakes. That could possibly change this year because he does start a contender in this field. Let's take a look at the field of 6 entered in the Melair Stakes, a mile and 1/16 on the main track. And Sadler starts Big Switch, who we'll talk about in just a minute. This race is kind of a mess. There's no real, true, legitimate favorite, including Big Switch, who's already a stakes winner. The filly who I picked on top and with very little conviction is number 1, Rose Maddox. She started 8 times, 3 wins, 3 seconds. She can do dirt. She can do turf. She has run well short. She has run well long. And she has a little bit of class in her corner. And you'll see what I mean when we play the stretch run of the April 15th allowance win at Santa Anita. And you're going to see a filly coming through a very tight spot along the inside. Watch Rose Maddox down on the rail. She's buried here. You don't win a grass route rallying up the fence, do you? No, you don't, unless you have some class. And Rose Maddox does. Daughter of Grayson, that's a tough spot for any horse to come through, but Rose Maddox did exactly that. She rallied inside. She won this race by a neck. Good, solid win, better than looked win by Rose Maddox. After that race, in fact, it was 2 weeks ago, she went up to Golden Gate Fields and she finished second in an allowance sprint. I believe that was merely a prep race for the Melair. And in a race that could go a number of ways, we know this about Rose Maddox. She'll stay the trip, and she also wants to beat you. 8 starts, 3 wins, and 3 seconds. Good, solid career record for Rose Maddox. Okay, the best horse in the field, I think, just based on raw ability, is probably the Sadler-trained Big Switch. Her 3-year-old campaign has really yet to get going for reasons that I'll explain in just a minute. But she was an outstanding 2-year-old. She won her career debut last summer at Del Mar. And then on Breeders' Cup weekend in the Golden State Juvenile Fillies, this was one of the highlights on a weekend that didn't have very many highlights for myself from a wagering perspective. But let's take a look at Big Switch. I thought she should have been favored in the Golden State Juvenile Fillies because she was just a better filly than her modest debut figure suggested. She earned a 55 buyer first time out. This is in the Golden State Juvenile Fillies, and she jumped up and ran huge. An 80 buyer speed figure. She ran away from Big Novel. That was her stablemate, Big Novel, who was more well-regarded by most bettors. And based on that effort, you would think, boy, this is going to be a fun filly to watch her career unfold at age 3. She was just getting started at age 2. She won at 7 furlongs, going away like a filly that will have no trouble getting 2 turns. But her 3-year-old season has just been a couple of missteps, to put it bluntly. She ran in the Grade 2 Santa Ynez in January at Santa Anita, and she ran horribly. She was the 8-5 second choice. She finished 4th by 13 lengths. She came out of that race with a fever. Now, Sadler wanted to downplay that, but I think it affected her performance. What happened next time out? In late February, she ran on the hill in an allowance race, and again, she misfired. She finished 5th in a 7-horse field. So Sadler believes now, in hindsight, that Big Switch does not want to run on grass, despite her pedigree. She's by Mr. Big. Most Mr. Bigs do like grass. So she's back on dirt on Saturday, Big Switch is. She has trained well. Actually watched her work last weekend, and she looked very, very good. Sadler was happy. She's running long for the first time. She acts like she'll run long. It's very difficult to overlook her 2 starts this season that were both hugely disappointing. I believe that she's a better filly than she has shown so far. Sadler believes so. So does owner breeder George Krikorian. At least they are hoping that she is. And we're going to find out if Big Switch can return to form against a relatively soft group of California-bred 3-year-old fillies. A couple others just to mention in this field that are contenders, including number 6, Ute Your Honor. She'll get very little respect from most handicappers, myself included, which is probably wrong because all she does is show up and win. She started 7 times, Ute Your Honor has, and she's won 4 of them. She's not that fast on numbers, but few of these fillies are. So if Rose Maddox can bring her synthetic and turf form to dirt, I think she's the most likely winner. If Big Switch can return to her outstanding 2-year-old form, she could win the Melair Stakes as well. So I'm going 1-2 in race 8 on Saturday at Santa Anita.